Hey everybody, it's the OMAD Dad. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, a channel that is dedicated to living the OMAD lifestyle or eating just one meal a day. Today I'd like to talk about prepping. I'm not talking about the prepping that one would do if they were getting ready for a bodybuilding contest. I'm not talking about the type of prepping you would do if you were going to prepare a large meal. Today I want to talk about preparedness and how OMAD relates to catastrophe, and ultimately if the crap hits the fan, so to speak. I recently got into watching a YouTube channel by this lady. She goes by the name of Prepper Princess. I believe she's out in California, and her whole channel is about frugality and survival and staying out of debt, all really great information. And I started listening to that and thinking about some of my own upbringing. I was fortunate enough to have grandparents that I got to see a lot growing up, and they survived the Great Depression, they survived World War II, and a whole bunch of different recessions and booming times in their life. And so those major events really affected the way that they lived their life. And many of us today have no idea what any of those circumstances would be like in modern day times. And it got me thinking about our OMAD practice. And there are so many benefits to OMAD. Often we just focus on our figures and how we look, and if we've lost weight or what our macros are. If we expand a little bit of our viewpoints, we can sometimes think of the money that we can save from it. But it got me thinking about, because we've been pretty lucky in this country historically for the past 60, 70 years or so, and actually probably even longer. What would happen if the crap hit the fan in some way, either in the country as an entirety or in little areas, and how well OMAD actually prepares us for that? And I don't want to be a real doomsdayer here, and often when I bring things like this up, because I used to be kind of a conspiracy theorist type of a guy. My wife will always say, "Okay, Alan, go put your tinfoil hat on now." But we live on a planet that is pretty chaotic at times. There are a lot of people, and we often conflict with each other. We live on a planet that has pretty volatile weather. Just look at some like Puerto Rico, for example. A lot of people think that as bad as Puerto Rico was, like everything is fixed in 100% now. It's not the case. Imagine if you get yourself, there's some situation in your area where food and some of the basic necessities and in other words, where your life is turned upside down. And people who are prepared before the storm hits, they're the ones that always fare the best. It's like the Bible story of Noah. He built his ark before the big storm. And I'm not a very religious person, and I'm not trying to make this a religious podcast either, or YouTube broadcast. But there's a very good lesson in that. And it got me thinking, here we are, we're used to going long periods without eating. We're used to fasting. We're used to eating just the bare necessities. For those of us that aren't exactly keto on this diet or way of eating, we can eat leftovers. We can utilize some of the things in our pantry. We can get by in any social situation. Imagine if something happens, and there are different scenarios. It could be a war-like scenario in this country. It could be economic turmoil. It could be weather-related. It could be a combination of things. It could be maybe, just think of how much something like a while ago we had the big romaine lettuce scare where romaine lettuce was not safe to eat, and how that affected, at least in the grocery stores over here, that affected a lot of lettuce sales, because romaine lettuce was so popular that when that wasn't available on the shelves, everybody had to flock to other kinds of lettuces and other packages, and that meant that there wasn't enough. Those other varieties ran out even faster, and for people who are depending upon and that's just one example, but they're depending on that niche of the market for a bulk of their meals, it really affected things, and that was just from lettuce. Imagine if it was, something large, major. I mean, every now and then you'll hear of recalls of meat or, some E. coli breakout somewhere. So my point, what I'm getting to, is that another one of the benefits that we have on this way of eating is that I feel it makes us better prepared for anything that could be coming our way. If the crap hits the fan and people are unable to get their daily Starbucks fix and dine out at restaurants every single day, or stick to a very strict paleo or vegan diet, or vegan is pretty easy, but we'll say keto diet or something of that nature, how is that going to fare to someone like you guys out there who are used to going of periods in between meals? In other words, how is the person who's used to eating 6 times a day going to fare if food and water and basic necessities become a problem? So this is hopefully another way of getting yourself prepared. Is you have to remember, we have it pretty good in this country. In many third world countries, it's that survival mindset has to be on all the time. We have it pretty good here in America and in westernized countries. I'm sure there's people from other countries out there. And we've been pretty lucky here. We've had it pretty well. But how are people going to fare when they can't even get some of the basic necessities if something like this happens? And so to draw on that lesson, even though I'm not a religious person, as build your ark before the storm. Get used to this. Getting into a time-restricted eating pattern now will help you and be better prepared instead of having to be forced into it should something like this happen in your neck of the woods in the future. And again, I hope nothing catastrophic happens. I hope that if it does, we have enough allies in the world left over that are able and willing to lend us a helping hand. But even those who are, no matter what, it's not there are many of these disasters that you see about on the nightly news that happen every so often. The problem isn't fixed in a couple of hours. It's often not fixed in a couple of days, and in many times there is no solution to some of the problems. This is just the type of planet and type of life that we live here. It's chaotic at times. But we can at least know that if we're flexible enough with the food choices that we make and when we eat them, and we're used to going periods of time without always shoveling food in our mouth and always consuming calories, that we could at least be able to survive. We will already have been activated that natural survival instinct within us, and we will be better prepared than the common layperson when the crap hits the fan. And so I don't know what your thoughts are on this. I don't know if any of you view it this way or not. I'd love to hear your comments in the sections below, or send me an email about it. But it was something that I was thinking about today, and that sometimes I think about that too, and I really hope that it just kind of solidifies the practice of what we do, and that this is used for more than to just take off a few pounds to look good on your next vacation. Yes, do that if that's what ultimately your goal is, or if you're trying to beat a food addiction, or if you're trying to just get your health in order in general. Yes, that is definitely one of the main benefits of OMAD. But just know that there are many other side benefits, and I think being prepared for anything that could happen in life on this often volatile planet, I think OMAD sets us up pretty well, at least at that end, at the spectrum. So that is it for me today. Kind of a gloomy post, but not really. I guess it's kind of positive. Try to put a positive spin on it. That is it for me for today, though. I hope you guys are having a great week. I hope you're having a very happy OMAD, and I hope to hear from you soon. Of course, be well.